Welcome back. You join myself, Xander Fina, and Dark Soldat here for day two of the fifth Syndicate Competitive League. We've just finished watching the fight between Something Else and Reputation Cartel. In the end, fairly comfortable victory for Something Else. A little bit of a surprise for me personally. It's very easy, Soldat, for us to sit here as commentators and criticize and suggest why didn't you do something this way? Why didn't you call that target, etc., etc. But what do you think were going through Reputation Cartel's heads there? What was the thought process, and how they called that fight, especially in the first minute or two?
Well, it is easy to say these things for them, like you should have done that, you should have done this, but generally it all depends if you're a good player or not. So basically the first mistake they did was they didn't warp to 50. They warped in their Dominixes at 0. I don't really know any reason you would ever do that. Especially I didn't really notice that they were that tanky. They went down quite quickly. So they worked in their Dominixes at 0, which basically means that they didn't have any range on their sentry drones. And you need a range on the sentry drones because the way sentries are right now is that to beat them, you either have to run 200 or more kilometers away, which is almost impossible in a tournament arena, or go and orbit them at 500, which the support from something else was able to do.
Why didn't they go for the ruppies first? I mean, to me, it seems an obvious call. Why didn't they make that? Why didn't they make that call?
I think it's just piloting error, or just the general understanding of the game. Maybe they thought they would do more damage to another ship and not to Rupture, or maybe it was the way they wanted to apply their damage by assigning drones that didn't work out, and some drones weren't shooting at all, so they had to manually fire them on the first target they locked.
Were you surprised at just how quickly those Dominics sunk? How quickly they went down?
Yeah, I'm guessing they had a lot of damage mods, maybe some tracking mods, which didn't do that well, because if you have something orbiting 500 on a sentry drone, it's really hard to hit them, especially a Rupture, which is kind of a low of signature ship.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when we see these fights happening, how much of what happens comes down to typically, I mean, obviously every fight's going to be a little bit different, but typically how much of it is down to picking the right fit and how much of it is down to the team captain's calls, his target calling, the FCing, and how much of it is down to individual pilots' abilities? I mean, how does that breakdown happen?
Well, it's basically 95% calls and 5% depends on your setup. We've had like countless matches where on paper we should have gotten crushed, but we dominated, and then countless matches where we should have dominated, but we made some wrong calls and we got crushed.
And how much training can you do for that? I mean, ultimately, does it just come down to experience? How much experience is involved? How much luck's involved? How much does work that you've done on Tranquility translate across? Is there any comparison whatsoever to small gang PvP on Tranquility, or is it a very, very, very different beast when you get into the ring in a kind of tournament setting on CC?
The main transfer is your individual skill, because that comes in when you have to control the field, when you have to web your targets, when you have to outpilot them, when you have to do a certain degree burn just to get the web on the target you're supposed to screen off your priority targets, like your logistics. I usually had a screen of like 3 frigates just fly between me and the people that were coming after me and web them. And basically that was the main focus for their practices, where basically all they did was screen targets off me.
Okay, so we're just about ready for the next round. We have the Ronin facing Deepwater. Ronin have banned the Domi and the Ishtar, and Deepwater have banned the Geddon and the Myrmidon. What are our thoughts there, Soldat? What are we thinking?
At least they banned some of the more often fielded ships, so we might see some interesting setups. But I still fully expect at least one Marauder per team.
And who? Let's make a call. Who's going to win this one?
I'm gonna have to go with the Ronin. Their match against Verge was closer than I thought.
Yeah, I think Ronin are going to have the chops to take this one down. I don't think Deepwater are going to manage this one, unfortunately for them. But we're gonna cut for some music, and then our commentators are ready to take this match on. So let's pass over to the commentary team.